Hey, Senator, welcome in.
Hey, thank you. How you doing?
Good, Senator. Very good. Senator, you spoke out about Josh Shapiro. Give me an idea of your thoughts after this Good Morning America interview.
Well, listen, this all really started in my mind with what happened in Butler, where I was there when President Trump got shot, and wrote a piece that talked about this violence in politics that we had to stop. And really, I think it's a lot about how we dehumanize people. And when the same thing happened to Governor Shapiro in a different way, with the arson in the governor's mansion, someone trying to harm the governor and his family, which was just a horrific thing. I just wanted to step up and say, listen, despite the fact that Governor Shapiro and I are from different parties and have very different views on things, that we got to stop this violence in politics, and we got to have political leaders conduct themselves in a way that's not contributing to it. And it's hard not to see a pattern where there's more and more political violence, and I think it really threatens our democracy, which is the point I wanted to make.
Senator, isn't it helpful, though? And look, I don't want to be critical. The guy had the house burned down. He was under attack. In the Good Morning America interview, we know what the motivation is, at least what the guy told the police. And we know that Shapiro, I think, would have helped their party tremendously if he had been on the ticket. And we know there's part of it, at least, it's anti-Jewish. Even Schumer today is saying that. I think we got to call that out in a respectful way, but that's part of it.
The anti-Semitism, absolutely. No, I mean, we have seen this huge rise in anti-Semitism post October 7th. We've seen it on our nation's campuses. We've seen, shockingly, the unwillingness of university presidents like Liz McGill at Penn to stand up against anti-Semitism, and that persists. And I think it's the kind of thing which is deeply embedded in parts of our society, and that's also something that I've tried to stand up and be a really strong voice on, because it's intolerable.
Senator, we played today on the show, and I'm not sure how widespread this is, but you are one of the driving forces in the Senate now. I watch and go to on issues like the tariffs, on issues like banking, and the really big things, our economy. But the argument is out there. We played a Republican congressman saying the president's being told you can get the cuts, the tax cuts, overtime, Social Security, and the like. But we have to up the so-called high-end taxes. People like me and others in talk radio today are saying we want to be the working party. We want this broad tent, and we have it. But I don't think that's the way to go philosophically, and I don't think it's the way to go for the economy to start to go down that path.
I'm with you. Listen, I think we're not the party of raising taxes. And if you look at the taxes today, the 2017 tax cuts that President Trump put into place, you see that the good portion of those taxes, a large majority, help people making $400,000 and below. For a family of family making $50,000, it was a $2,500 tax break. And listen, in the United States, we have a pretty progressive tax system, and what I mean by that is that 10% of the population pays 70% of the taxes. 1% of the population pays 40% of the taxes. So I don't think the path to prosperity is through raising taxes. I do believe that there's things we continue to need to do to make it more viable for working families, for people living on the edge, to be able to have children and to get by. And so, one of the things you and I talked about in the campaign, which I'm going to be a forceful advocate for, is child care tax credits, is child tax credits, is IVF tax credits, because we see less and less young people having families because they can't afford it. So I do think we need to do more to help, but it's not by raising taxes. It's by cutting them. The way to get our economy back on track is to deregulate. Huge deregulation, have energy dominance. It's to have tax cuts become permanent, and it's to make our economy welcoming to capital from around the world. And we've already seen trillions of dollars of new capital coming. So I'm optimistic we got wind at our back. The tariffs have created some uncertainty. There's no doubt about that. And I'm hopeful the president's going to come out soon with a couple templates of the deals that are going to come forward, and that I think will give the market a little comfort that we're on a good path here.
Senator, we had on Chris Ruddy, who is a friend of the president, talks with him, and one of the things we were talking about, suddenly Iran's front page again, and Ruddy seemed to indicate there are some signs of it. I was unaware that we thought Iran was close to the bomb again, potentially. What's your sense of where we are with that?
Well, listen, I mean, the problem with Iran is they're completely not trustworthy. So, if you move forward on an agreement with Iran, or even if they, give you all the comfort or try to give you the comfort that they're not close to a bomb, I don't think you should put much faith in it. So I think the president has been unequivocally clear that we cannot have a nuclear-armed Iran. And the only way I could ever imagine any sort of path forward that doesn't involve literally taking that nuclear capability away with military means is for a complete capitulation by the Iranians on their desire to have a weapon. And it can't just be that they're going to stop further development. It has to be that they essentially open up the doors and make sure that the regulators can see that they don't have a nuclear capacity. They don't have enriched uranium, and that we can move forward with some confidence. And I think that's the way this issue is being framed by the president, and I agree with him.
Moving forward, what's for constituents, listeners here, Senator, what are you working on? What's upcoming that you are really in the center ring involved that we should know about?
Well, today I'm here in Philadelphia, and I've spent time with the Federal Home Loan Bank, and we're talking about affordable housing. That's a big issue, 11% rise in home prices last year in Pennsylvania. Unsustainable. Part of it's due to the really significant regulation at the municipal level. So we got to make changes to make housing more affordable. So that's a big focus. Really meeting with businesses to talk about these tariffs so I can understand some of the challenges that they're going through, and be a strong advocate with the trade representative and with the president for the kinds of policies, the kinds of exemptions that may make sense for Pennsylvania businesses. So that's a second big thing. And listen, I'm on the Energy Committee, and I'm the chairman of the Energy Subcommittee, and there's a big focus here on putting in the executive orders that help achieve the deregulation that helps achieve energy dominance. But there's also a lot of good work we need to do in the Senate with permitting reform that's going to make it much easier to drill and create pipelines and so forth. So those are the big issues, completely consistent with my campaign. I guess the final one's fentanyl. And you and I talked about this a lot during the campaign, but fentanyl killed 4,000 Pennsylvanians last year. My first bill that I introduced was the fentanyl task force bill, which essentially created a law enforcement task force with clear accountability and resources to stop this terrible scourge of fentanyl. That, along with some of the key things the president has done, I think are going to put us on a really good path for dealing with the supply side of fentanyl. And that piece of legislation was co-sponsored by John Fetterman, which is important. We need to have bipartisan support for attacking fentanyl, and he and I are in it together.